All right, we'll go ahead and get started with our post-race press conference here with the.
Not right behind you.
That last lap was ridiculous.
I had a little gap I could conserve with. I was just trying to make it home.
Go ahead. We're talking amongst ourselves. You can go ahead.
Okay. Y'all's conversation much more interesting than mine. We'll go ahead and get started with our post-race press conference here with the Finger Lakes 355 at the Glen. We welcome Brad Keselowski, driver of the number 2 Miller Lite Dodge, who finished second in today's race, and Jimmie Johnson, driver of the number 48 Lowe's Cortez Silver Chevrolet. Brad, talk a little bit about that run out there today. Those last few laps, as you said, were just crazy.
Yeah. Well, just hard racing on a great racetrack, and I really enjoy coming here. This is a real road course. It seems like all the other places are parking lots with corners, and this is a real road course, and you see real racing here, and I think that's what today was. I'm, proud of the last 2 days I've had. I feel like Jimmie Johnson with the cars I've had on road courses as of late, but just a good couple of days, and happy with the runs. Obviously, would like to have one more position in both of them, and we're very, very close, but trying to keep in perspective how far we've come as a team, and to run this competitively on road courses is something I'm very, very proud of.
Again, also joining Brad up here, Jimmie Johnson, our new points leader, leading by 1 point over Greg Biffle. Jimmie, talk a little bit about those last few laps as well as the race, and if you could speak a little bit about being the new points leader.
Yeah, excited to be leading the points. Whoever the team is, I really believe that they get some much-needed experience with the pressure of the points lead late in the season. It's just different than leading at any other point in time, and I'm excited to be that guy and look forward to the pressure on my team and myself. And just every little thing we can do to get prepared for the chase is helpful, and this is another step in that direction. So excited about that. Those last 2 laps, the next to last lap was really the most difficult because we were discovering where the oil was. In this white flag lap, I made some good adjustments, all except for turn 11 to dodge the oil, and slipped pretty bad, almost crashed, and the 15 and a few others were coming quick at that point. But just a wild last couple laps. But in general, I thought the racing was really good. Our cars work good around here, and even with the strategy we had today, I had to pass a lot of cars, and it seemed like a lot of good racing everywhere.
Okay, we'll open up for questions for Brad and Jimmie. Please raise your hand. We'll get a wireless mic to you. We'll start up here with Lee.
Spencer from Sports. Following the race, Dave Rogers said it was not the 18 that dumped oil over the track, but Brad, can you go into the move where you got into the back of Kyle and just kind of took him out of contention? If you guys are saying that it's the oil, are you going to try to talk to him before the chase begins so it doesn't become a casualty going forward?
Well, I would think Kyle's got enough racing experience, and he drove through it himself, that he would understand what happened, and I'm going to guess he does, but I probably won't take that for granted. Certainly I had a shot to get underneath him, and I took it. The track was complete oil, and neither of us were going to make it out of that corner, and that was unfortunate, but I just got to watch the replay. That's really, really cool to watch. I think he knows I had to make that move, no different than the move that he had to make on the restart with his position. He made a very, very aggressive move on the restart that was going to wreck both of us if I didn't let him in. And, I could have, held the position and wrecked us all, but I didn't. And, I showed understanding of his situation, and hopefully he'll show understanding of the situation I was in. And I think he will, but certainly not the ideal situation to wreck the leader no matter what the situation or circumstances. But it was just one of those unavoidable deals where the whole track was undrivable. And somehow we all found a way to get back around, or some of us did. And I regret that Kyle wasn't one of them. I'm thankful that he was still able to get a respectable finish out of it. Looks like he finished 7th. But like you said, I thought it was his car that was leaking. And somebody said it was the 47. His car seemed to be reacting the worst to it when I was behind him, so that was why I thought that. He lost a lot more ground initially in the oil than the rest of us did, and that's why I thought that. But the last thing I want to do is ever wreck the leader, and that's just not an ideal situation. But sometimes there's unavoidable circumstances, and if there is one, I can't think of a bigger one than what we saw here today or on those last few laps.
Okay, we'll take our next question up front right here.
Brad, take us through that last lap when you and Marcus swapped the lead
You
a
guys
couple
done with
times.
me? Can I go home?
You can talk. Go
Well, no,
ahead.
it looks like you have a lot to answer.
I-
So I could just sneak on out the door and beat the
Man,
traffic.
I do. Don't worry. You have days like that too. We all do.
All right, I'll wait.
I remember Pocono last year. All right, go ahead. What were you asking?
I would take us through that last lap where you and Marcus swapped the lead in the dirt and the grime, and he ended up ahead of you.
Yeah, I mean, well, the last lap, I guess you have to back up to turn one where, I'd got in front of Marcos the lap before, and we got down to turn one, and Kyle had whatever issue he had, whether it was his own oil, the 47s, stands to reason it was the 47. He slipped up big in turn one, and there was just nothing he could do, nothing I could do. When we got to turn two side by side, it was nothing but oil, and I just felt lucky to not wreck myself. And he spun, obviously. We all checked up trying to miss the wreck, and Marcos was right on my bumper. We got going through turns 3 and 4, and it was nothing but oil, and we all about spun out, and I could see him in his mirror, or in my mirror. And we got to inner loop, and again, nothing but oil, and we both slid off the racetrack. I knew I had to drive in there hard. If I didn't, he was going to hit me. And he had to drive in hard to force me to do it. And when I got out in the grass, I thought, oh, no, I've just thrown this race away. And I looked in my mirror, and he was in the grass too. So that shows you how bad the track was. And then we got to the carousel and drove in there and slipped up again. And I looked at him, and he was slipping up. And I turned back down to the bottom to get going. And I must have hit the oil spot one more time, and I slipped up, and he didn't. So he got a good run down to the chute there to turn 10, and certainly had position and cleared me, and then got to turn 10, and he slipped again, and I was lucky enough to have him as a brake pedal, and then got to 11. I thought I had him being on the outside, but apparently wherever the oil was, it was in the high lane in turn 11, and I just hit more oil than Marcos did, and just barely kept from spinning out. And I think you just saw Jeff spun out, I think, in the oil. That's how bad that corner was. But just fun. We leaned on each other, we bumped each other, and we were both cool about it and didn't dump each other. This is what racing, I think, in NASCAR is supposed to be. It's supposed to be hard-nosed, going for the win, and bumping and rubbing without any of that intentional wrecking nonsense. And Marcos gets that, and I enjoy racing with him accordingly.
All right, are there any questions for Jimmie? Is your question? Reed, go.
Reed Spencer with NASCAR Wire Service. Jimmie, were you close enough to see the battle between those two? And
You don't want to talk about it?
did you feel like
Sorry, I just got to wake up.
did you feel like it might be an opportunity for you the way they were going at it?
I could see the aftermath. I saw Kyle trying to get back going, and then we got to the inner loop, and there was dirt and stuff everywhere. So I didn't see what started it. I was hopeful it was those two leaning on each other, but I couldn't see really what went on.
Okay, who had their hand up over here? Okay, go ahead. She's getting a mic to you.
Yeah, I guess we just need cars to blow up and put oil on the track every weekend, don't we? It's like a slick track, man.
That was funny. That was my question for both guys. When exactly did you notice the oil, and how did you, maneuver around it?
I did the next to last lap in turn 1. I thought I blew a right front tire when I turned in, and I'm like, why would I blow a right front tire? It'd probably be a left front, because the right front was in the oil slipping, and I could feel that. And at that point, I think the 18 was turned around, and my spotter was saying the 18 had spun, be careful. And when I went into 2, I had issues and kind of pieced together that lap. And the next lap wasn't as bad because I had an idea of where to miss some of the stuff, except for turn 11. Turn 11, I went wide on the last corner coming to the checkered, and there was more wide than there was low, and I slipped and almost lost third. Clint and a few others ran lower and were coming pretty hard on me at the end.
Any additional questions for Jimmie? All right, Jimmie, thank you very much. Congratulations on your finish. See you next weekend. All right, we'll take additional questions for Brad. Okay, we'll go ahead right here with Reed.
Brad, it looked like there was a little bit of damage
from the contact with Kyle because it looked like a tire rub or something like that. Did that affect the performance at all?
I don't know. That's the first I knew of it. If it did, I wasn't aware of it. Makes sense. Yeah, we'll go with that.
Any additional questions for Brad? Okay, we got another one right here on your left.
Sean Vargo with the Corning Leader. Talk about just the race as a whole. You had to battle dry conditions, the intermittent showers, and just talk about all the adjustments that you had to make throughout the day.
Boy, it sure seemed like a lot, didn't it? Just one of them days, man. I mean, how else can you sum that up? It's just one of them days where the world throws everything it can at you, and you hope to make it through all of them, and I just didn't. I just missed it a little too much, trying a little too hard to get the win, and that was really unfortunate, but part of racing.
Okay, we got another one right here on your left, and then we'll come back to Lee.
Keith McShay from the Buffalo News. Obviously, the win is huge for Marcos. The win would have been huge for Kyle. For you, not as much point standing wise. Did that cross your mind at all, or are you just going for a win there at the end?
Sure. I mean, I knew that when Kyle made the move on the restart. He tried to outbreak us all, and he did. But if I wouldn't have let him in line, all of us would have wrecked. And when he made that move, he was like, well, I can't fault him. I mean, you look at his situation, and it's win or go home. And I would do the same thing. I hope he respects my position that I can't just let him win either. And I had a chance to pass him, and the way the oil and all that worked out, it just ended up badly. And I hope he respects that like I respect why he had to make that move. And same thing with Marcos on why he had to race aggressively. And I do respect that. I would respect that even if you didn't have anything to win, because I think that's the core of this sport. The core of the sport and why people come to watch is to know that we're going to give it our all on any given day. And if a day comes where we don't do that, then we're no longer racers. And this is no longer a sport. It's politics. So, it's our job. Now, certainly you don't have to be an asshole about it. And you can always find a reason to be that. But I don't think anyone was here today, and it was all understandable.
Okay, our next question we'll take from Lee.
Lee Spencer, Fox Sports. Sam Hornish matched a career best top 5 today. It was his first fifth-place finish since Michigan in 2009. Can you talk a little bit about his feeling? Have you talked to him? He said, even the 3 years he was here before, he felt like he was auditioning, and now he's auditioning again. I mean, can you just talk about the improvements that he might have made over the last 4 weeks?
I mean, there's no doubt that, and we've talked about it. Roger and I have actually even talked about it. He's done a phenomenal job of growing as a driver. I think running in both series has been huge for him, and he's got 2 good teams with the nationwide and cup efforts, and I think he's gaining a lot of confidence and starting to come into his own in a way. Certainly the question is, can he have those performances on the ovals? That's really what's going to matter for him and his future, and I'm sure he'd probably tell you the same. But his progress as of late has been something I'm proud to see, and I hope that in some small way I'm a part of that and working with him, and so that's just great to see. It's something that I think we all enjoy watching as a driver get the hang of this sport. It's especially a guy as kind and who's paid some dues like Sam has.
Okay, we'll go ahead with Reed, then we'll come over here.
On that restart where Kyle took it 3 wide, did you feel like you were kind of between a rock and a hard place, having to defend Marcos to the outside and knowing Kyle was probably going to do something like that?
Yeah, I mean, basically the sport has changed when double file restarts came on board, especially on tracks of this nature. And you see it more so on the nationwide and truck side, where the leader is no longer the best spot to be in. And again, you see that more in the other 2 series, but on road courses and short tracks at the cup level, the leader is in the most vulnerable spot at all times, and it's really unfortunate because you work so hard to get that positioning, and then a yell comes out and you're now no longer in the best spot. And the reason for that is the cars behind you can time the start based off your cadence and the way the restart zone is, and then just bonsai the shit out of you into the corner. and put you in a situation where you can only lose. You either give them the position or they, clean you out and themselves out at the same time. And the third place guy knows that. And that's what you're seeing in the racing, whether it was, here today or yesterday. I was in both those situations in some sort of fashion. And I think you see that a lot on the truck and nationwide side where, I'd like to see a stat, how often the leader of the race comes back to the line in the lead. And I think you would see that margin is getting lower and lower to where it's less than 50%. And that was the situation with the move that Kyle made. He's a smart racer, and he knows that he put me in a situation where it was either I let him go or we both wreck. And it didn't make any sense to wreck out of this race for me. And I can respect that. He's smart, and he knows that gave him a shot at winning the race. And had the 47 not blue oil line, assuming it was the 47, he would have. So, the dynamics of restarts have really changed the racing. And it would have been interesting to see what would have happened had we had another yellow there at the end. And that would have put me in that third place position where essentially it would have been my responsibility to just dive the shit out of turn one and hope that Kyle let me in. And it would have been interesting to see what mentality he would have had then, because I'm guessing he wouldn't have let me in. But, that's the racing. And go back to even Martinsville, and we saw the same thing with Clint and Jeff and Jimmie. That's just how the racing has evolved, and it's a bit unfortunate. It's not something I personally like seeing, but it is the game that we play as the rules are set right now.
Okay, we'll take our next question right here. Go ahead.
Yeah, last year, sorry, Joe Cummings with YNN. Last year there was a big kerfuffle after the large crash about the safety of the track. Did it feel safer this year after the changes that were made?
There's no doubt. This is a tough question to answer without being really offensive, but there's no doubt that improvements have been made. But in my opinion, there's no road courses in America that are up to the safety standards they should be. And I think you look at the road courses in Europe and how much better they are. It speaks volumes of, why American road racing is where it's at. We just don't have. There's been improvements, but certainly not enough to where I think if you pulled the whole garage, they would say it's satisfactory.
Additional questions? Okay, John.
John Gunn, NASCAR Illustrated. What did you think of your chances when Kyle made that pass on the restart and then Ambrose got you and you're sitting back there? How do you think you're going to do at that point?
Well, Marcos didn't get me till 2 or 3 laps later. So I'm sorry, I keep getting caught on the TVs. Marcos didn't get me till at least 5 or 6 laps later, and that was just from pushing so hard to try and get by Kyle. Just that didn't have anything to do with the restart. That was just me doing all I could to get back by Kyle, and he had the clean air. I think my car was a little faster, but he had the clean air, and when I got behind him, I would just push so bad that I couldn't get that positioning on him to make a move.
Okay, we'll have a follow-up from Reed.
Yeah, I mean, you're watching the TVs. Just talk a little bit about how much you enjoyed that last lap, even though you came in second, just how much you enjoyed the racing.
I absolutely enjoyed the race. Of course, I'm a little spoiled on that answer being, a front finisher, and probably would not have that same perception if I was not. But I just think this is what racing should be. And I think this is what the fans come to expect out of NASCAR racing and why it grew to popularity as it did. And we need to produce shows of this nature to continue to, sustain the level that we have. So I'm proud to be a part of one of those races.
Okay, we'll take our next question from Lee.
That being said, would you like to add another road course? Could you see a Montreal, on the schedule in the near future? Because it just seems like this has almost replaced short track racing. I mean, the fans, as much passion as they've had for short track racing, when you guys come in, you just talk about how exciting and how thrilling it is for this kind of racing. I mean, would it be cool to add a place, say, like Montreal?
I don't think that's the right approach to what the sport needs. I think that there's certainly other tracks that we could look at. And, I enjoy the international market. I had a blast in Montreal. But I think that's the wrong line of thinking. I think you have to look at why these races are so good. And it fits with the way this car is built. It's built for tracks, not necessarily built for road courses, but it's built for the beating and banging that you're seeing. and that makes it an ideal car for a track of this nature. I think if you want to look back and to obviously some of the peaks of our sport and where the racing was generally considered to be the best, it was on ovals. And I think that we need to just simply correct some of the things that we need to make the oval racing better, and that should be our approach forward. But that's obviously NASCAR's way forward, and I know they're working on that, and I think that I support that approach.
Okay, go ahead with your next question.
Yeah, I was just thinking, any thoughts of deja vu, considering it was the three of you?
Yeah, absolutely, yes.
And
unfortunately, it involved spinning the 18, and that part's not deja vu, and that's not something I wanted to happen.
Now, after last year's race, were there times that you thought about, if I had done this differently? Are you going to go away from this race thinking, what could I have done differently?
Probably. Yeah, probably. I mean, you have to understand there's a part of me that's just so thrilled to be competitive on a road course that I don't want to say second is a win, but there's just a large part of me that's just tickled to run that well, because I'm not supposed to run well on road courses, and the last year and a half we've been very strong, and I'm just tickled to be with a team that gives me cars that can do that, and to have shown whatever level of growth it has taken to get to this level as a driver as well.
2 straight second places here. What makes you so good at Watkins Glen?
I got good cars. I mean, I don't know. Just things are clicking, and if I knew what it was, I would have gone after it a long time ago. But sometimes things just go well, and you don't sweat why. You just enjoy it, and that's where I'm at.
Final questions for Brad. All right, Brad, congratulations on a great weekend here. Thank you for your time.